And we are back. Let me get a little personality pouch in.
Personality pouch.
As you like to call them. Jive up this podcast.
More like just make you balanced, neutral. Bring you up to a regular person level.
Yeah.
Pop it in.
Yeah.
Watch the magic happen.
Huh?
I said, pop it in and watch the magic happen.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's that dramatic, but I've been told it is. So.
How much do you love going to the movies? Also, okay, never mind.
It's I like doing that more than probably anything else, like going out to eat or doing any of the other stuff. I like going to the movies. Like, it's weird to me that people don't do it anymore. Or don't like it. It's one of those things where I'm so on the uncommon end of that, where I'm like, I don't understand how this still is not popular, going to the movies.
I know. Well, and that's where I think it depends on who you're talking to. Like, I think some people don't like going because they don't like going out. Like, they want to just be able to be at home and be comfortable. But I'm curious how many of those people are the people that have not been to the movies since it was like those old bucket seats.
Oh.
Like, they don't know, like, they have recliners in there now.
Yeah.
Like, the experience is way better. They're going like 20 years ago. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, your couch at home is much better than that. And like, some of the other stuff is just more expensive to go. So it's like, well, I could just have it all at home. But that's where these lights.
You got a flickering one.
I think it's because
They're doing construction or something.
Yeah. Okay, well, if everything just cuts out.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We'll start from the top. Okay, but I was thinking about that with the trailers for the F1. The trailer, trailers for the movies coming out look good, but then the F1 coming out looks so good, and that's around when my dad's going to be here, but there is no way he would go. Like, that would be the movie where he would want to see, but you would not convince him to go to the movies.
Well, I think people just don't care enough. Like, it's not a big enough thing to go. Especially when,
it's a
movies,
big time thing too.
Yeah, and I think
time is like, people aren't good at just settle into this for a couple hours.
Well, right.
Like,
can't
people
look at their
are
phone.
People are way too. I need to be looking at my phone or doing something that they can't just sit and watch one screen for 2 hours.
Right. That's what I like about the movies, though, is it's so all encompassing. The screen is so large. The sound is surrounding you. That it's dark in there. Like, there's nothing but that going on, and it's just like engulfing all of your senses. That I feel like it's easier to be engaged in that rather than at home where there's so many other things going on, and it's basically all the opposite of the movie theater. That it's easier to just grab your phone and do this and do that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. People are so used to grab their phone. They're watching TV or watching a movie and on their phone at the same time. But I don't know. Movies also used to be like not on demand like they are. I mean, we could go whatever subscription service you're paying for, you have a choice between 500 movies.
Well, and anything that's in the theater you can buy as soon as you can get it in the theater. To where before you had to wait several months for it to come out on DVD, to where you could either rent it or buy it.
Yeah.
Or if you're excited about a movie, you want to see it right when it comes out.
Yeah.
But you can do that.
So I think I think it used to be any way that you were going to get a movie, you would have had to pay for it. So why not go to the theater and pay for it? Because I mean, we went to the movies yesterday, and we went on a Tuesday, and it was $5 a ticket.
That's
so it's like
the other point,
tickets
though.
are not expensive.
That's the other point, though, is it is expensive if you go on regular days, to where if you're a family and you can rent it for $5,
right,
versus you have to take your whole family and buy them all tickets and candy and popcorn or whatever.
And when people are typically able to go, they go on a Saturday. They go on a Saturday afternoon or night.
Yeah, you're spending $100. So is that worth $100?
Right. No. No, of course it's not.
It's like we're choosing the cheapest route to do this.
Yeah.
We're going on the cheapest day. We're bringing in our own snacks. We just have the two of us. Like, yeah. Okay, so we spent $10. Well, $15 for the snacks. Or whatever.
I mean, exactly. Like if it wasn't, I wouldn't go on not the discount day because now tickets are $10. You're paying $20 for us two to go. I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
That would be worth it to me. But if you're paying for a whole family to go.
Yeah, I mean, say you got two kids, you're paying $40 to go see a movie.
And a movie that they maybe won't watch because also kids' attention spans. How many of them can sit through a movie?
Yeah, I mean, they're dealing with the same
home,
thing.
They can watch it and kind of, I'm going to go play with the thing or bring the thing over here and kind of watch it again, grab a snack.
I think, again, if you're in the theater and you're surrounded by it all, I think the kid would be fine and be engaged. But also, it is very dependent on the kid. I mean, if your kid is somebody that already struggles with sitting there paying attention to a movie and has to be on 3 different devices or doing 20 different things, then yeah. But I think in general, you get into the theater, it just seems like, I don't know, maybe it's just easier for me because I'm not that way, but I don't know. I feel like you get so engulfed in it and it's the only thing happening that it's easy to sit there and pay attention.
I wonder what age. I know they've said that it's like after 3, like definitely not before 3. What is the age where it's okay for their brain
to go to a movie?
Just to like be watching anything that engaging, like on a screen. Then I know it's more of the habit building after that of making sure that they're only doing it in certain designated sections and it's probably not their own device. Because I think I love movie and TV. Like, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
So insecure.
So
I love movie and TV.
So it's like, okay, well, this is one of the joys of living is that one thing that you just go, yeah, well, when they're older, it's okay to do it. It's okay to do it every once in a while, or like watching movies or watching shows, but you're not sitting them in front of an iPad. And again, this is after a certain age. I think like they say like before age 3, you're messing with their brain.
I wonder what that is, like what they're messing with. Like, is it just too much?
It's the stimulation, and I think it's the stimulation of the colors and the sounds.
But then what's the negative of that? Like, is it
just their brain's not developing properly?
Yeah, these are all very general terms that I'm wanting to know, like, what the ultra specific is about it.
Okay,
if we even know, because I think there's also like there's such a variance to that, and such a, like, I don't know, like some kids are able to consume there's some kids out there that they're in front of the iPad for 2 hours and then their mom's like, all right, hey, let's get up and go outside, and they're like, oh, okay, and they just go do that. And then there's other kids that freak out and it's like this addictive thing. But where's the actual, because if it's such a bad thing, why are all the schools going to iPads? And I mean, we were just talking to one of the people at the schools, their schools are doing, instead of whiteboards, it's all like giant touch screens. So like their whiteboards are just digital touchscreens for them now. To where when we were kids, it was a freaking projector with the dry erase marker on the thing. And then as we got older, they went to, I think, the laptop, plug it in, projector screen onto the whatever. To where now that's just touchscreens, and all these kids are issued iPads, or, you know, when we were in high school, we were issued laptops. That's like, so if this is such a bad thing and bad for development, why are we continuing to go in that direction all the time?
Okay, screen times can improve education and learning. However, too much time spent in front of a screen and multitasking with other media has been related to worse executive functioning and academic performance. Screen time reduces the amount of quality and interaction between children and caregivers. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Impact on language development. I'm trying to find the actual what it is though.
Make sure you're going into the mic. It looks like you're aside of it.
Because I have to try to read it. Hopefully I can find it. I don't remember what part of the brain it affects, but it's something to do with their, what's the word? Not adrenaline. They're like dopamine levels.
Okay. So
like,
they're getting a incorrect dopamine situation set up in their head.
And I think that's where the language goes with it too, because they're not communicating as much with other people. They're just absorbing things. So their language ability, they're not strengthening the muscles of their mouth. They're not practicing talking. They're not showing signs of, I'm watching this and I'm able to repeat it. There are some parts of that where, like, I think it was a couple years ago that they were seeing that there was a increase in kids that were learning how to speak, learning in like a British accent.
Oh,
because of Peppa Pig. But the part that connects to language development in their brain wasn't, because you're not actually having the active use of it, was delayed. Do I know what part of the brain that is right off the top of my head? No.
And I'm more so just being nitpicky with the. I'm curious as to what it is negatively impacting. Like you said, the dopamine thing. That I feel like is something of substance to go, okay, this is negatively impacting. Like, just development that's so broad and so general that it's like, well, what parts of the development are going bad? Because you could say they're having really great development in being tech savvy. Like, all these kids can swipe a screen and press the home button, and they know everywhere to go on that, to where you give an iPad to a 90-year-old, they're not going to know what to do. Like, they don't have the coordination to do that, or the whatever. And also, just, you know, look at how many podcasts are out there that are educational that we learn from and that kids can learn from. And online schooling is becoming more popular, and people are in front of screens doing their schooling through that all the time. So there's some positives to it. But then, like, what's the negatives? Is it just addiction and dopamine and all that kind of stuff?
The reward system aspect of it with the dopamine, the also postural aspect of how kids are either on their phones or on an iPad, or they're on a screen where their neck placement and everything, that's messing up their breathing functions, which is messing up their brain functions. Also, what this is going to say is sleep issues. So depending on when your kids are on it, whether it's right away in the morning because, oh, mom and dad are still sleeping, so throw an iPad. Now, again, sometimes it just is what it is, but that could also be affecting their circadian rhythm based off of if they're doing it right when they wake up or right when they go to sleep. Sleep issues, excessive screen time, and exposure to content that is violent and fast-paced trigger dopamine and reward pathways in the brain, all of which have been associated with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. Early and persistent exposure to violent content raises the chances of engaging in antisocial behavior. And that's not like, okay, so they see shoot 'em up movies, but anything that is too quick for their brain, that might charge them and just get them a little bit more amped, that it might not be actual physical violence, but that could also be just fast-paced kid shows. Psychoneurological effects of addictive screen time use include a decrease in social coping skills and the development of craving behaviors resembling substance dependence. Structural changes in the brain related to cognitive control and emotional regulation have been observed in individuals with addictive digital media behavior, which is any teen right now.
Yeah, the ADHD and all that kind of stuff, I feel like, is probably the biggest part of it. The biggest downfall, the biggest negative. That, along with, I mean, I feel like the dopamine's kind of linked to that, but just the ADHD and not being able to keep focus on one task, or even just like the boredom. It's the not being able to be bored. You know, the kids in class, it's like we will do something, and then it's like, okay, go grab a quick drink of water. They can't just go grab a drink of water and then come back. They go grab a drink of water, then they try to go on their phone and they try to look stuff up or, Snapchat their friends, all that kind of stuff. It's like there's an addiction to it, but there's also, I feel like it's it's not as harsh as an addiction as much as it's just like a compulsion. It's that thing where like you check your phone and you're like, why did I just check it? I checked it like 10 seconds ago. It's just like, it's so in a habit that's just breaking that habit.
Well, and a lot of times I think it's a distraction, but it's also teaching them dissociation of, oh, I'm feeling upset. Well, here, look at mom's phone. Or, oh, I'm upset. I'm going to go to my phone. Yep. So then your kids see that, and then you're practicing that behavior, that they're correlating those things just like people do with food or bad vices, alcohol, that they're using those things to cope and to distract from what they're experiencing emotionally versus plugging in and charging through it. That you're practicing at such a young age.
Yeah.
That how are you going to expect when life is actually getting difficult? I mean, granted, a 3-year-old's problem is as large as anyone else's, but
to them it is.
To them, like it feels the same in their system, but you're practicing those behaviors. Then when they get older and they go to screen time, they go to their phones, they go to disassociate, they go to food, they go to other things outside of themselves to help cope and dissociate with what they're feeling.
Yeah, and I would say rarely do they do that when they're feeling positive emotions. They're not like, I'm having such a great time, let me go check my phone and let me drown myself in that. It's like, if you're having a good time, you're not even thinking about the phone. You're just thinking about the good time you're having and you want to continue whatever's going on there. So if you're in a good conversation or you're watching a engaging movie at the movie theater, I didn't want to check my phone at all that whole time.
No.
Because I was into the movie and I was enjoying what was going on. It's just the negative emotions that you start to grab your phone, you grab things that can take your attention, but like you don't have to be there. It's like music on in the background. I've always wondered about that, of if that's a positive thing or a negative thing, because there's part of me that's like, you're not able to deal with whatever thoughts are going on in your head. Like, we were just watching a podcast with Mark Norman on it, and he said that he has to put a podcast in for him to go to sleep.
Because he can't sit with his brain.
With it silent, his brain will just run and run and run and run and run. And to me, I'm like, that is something that needs to be dealt with and worked on. Like, you're putting a Band-Aid over the situation with the podcast in the ear, and that's going to build up and come to some sort of breaking point of something. To where if you can't sit with your own thoughts, or you can't go to bed because your brain is running, that to me is a huge red flag. And you should be able to do that. And just be able to do that in general too. Like waking up in the morning and not having anything on, or just doing your regular tasks. You're working and you can just sit there and work and have your attention towards that, whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that it's like you have to be able to do that and you should never listen to music, and you should, like, working out. That's a big one too. People have headphones in and are listening to something while working out. It's not that it's terrible, but if it's being used as a crutch all the time, that to me is not a good thing, that you can't sit there with your own thoughts. So now you take it to the kid level, and anytime they feel a negative emotion or they're sitting there and they're uncomfortable for some reason, that's something that they should be able to sit there and address, and not have a device or have something to go to drown those thoughts out. That's a big thing to me.
Well, and that's okay. So this is what I'm also reading, is where, again, going back to the brain for kids, well, and for adults too, but like where this is almost, you're working out your kid's brain to develop in this way. And that's where I say it affects their development, because for us, it'll affect how our behaviors are and our processes are. But for littles, it's like they're growing their brain with this wiring, to where when we're older, we can have it be adjusted because our brain is still placid, but for babies, we're growing them to be this way, that the brain waves that happen, the theta and beta, that sounds right. Theta and beta. I don't know which one is what, but it's kind of like the parasympathetic and sympathetic. Like one controls hyperactivity and then one controls like relax and cool down. That's like with like even the colors. One, like reds and greens and primary colors boost either the theta or the beta, and then the opposite, that you're triggering those brain waves at a such high speed compared to what normal life can produce. So what that does is they don't know how to control creativity and like active thinking and critical thought at a regular base, because they're just getting shot all of these boom, 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 boom. Next scene, big colors, that they now need that level of intensity to get into that state at all. And then same thing with the being able to calm down. It's much harder for them to calm down. And when they do, they crash because they only know extreme, 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 hard to get down there, but then they stay down there, which is like the anxiety and a depression.
You know, we were watching...
It's like we're developing those, and the ADHD. Like they're not able to learn how to focus on one thing because their brains are not allowing it.
Yeah, because everything on social media is quick hitting.
Well, and TV too. Like if you've seen a kid's show.
Right. You know, we were watching, we've been watching some older movies the last week or so. And then we went and watched Mission Impossible in the theater. I was surprised on how the older movies, what was that one we watched? Glengarry Glen Ross? The one where they're like selling land was with Al Pacino and the guys trying to get the leads and all that kind of stuff.
That movie was terrible.
It was
terrible.
I didn't think it was terrible. I thought Fight Club was worse than that one.
How is that a movie that everyone knows and talks about?
I know, isn't it weird?
I mean, is it because... That's what I want to know. Like, is it because people just kept talking about his body from Fight Club and that's what everyone wants? Now looking back at it, you're like, question mark city. But
yeah,
do people just remember it being so much better than what it is? Also, like what was in at the time physically, that's what it was.
Yeah.
To where now that wouldn't be. But the story...
Well, it was such a... I like the creation or the thoughts of these movies more than I do what's coming out now. What's coming out now, everything has to be such a ginormous, earth-shattering story all the time.
Or copycat.
Well, yeah, it's there's so much copycat, but like I like those older movies because it's like they took such a niche thing and made a story about it, like the Glengarry Glen Ross. That is just about that type of work in business, and they made like a drama about it. That to me is more interesting, that people can create something out of something so small, to where now it's like you go see Mission Impossible, the world is at stake and he's got to do all these crazy things, and like everything is so dramatic. It's about, you know, AI and all this type of shit. You know, all the Marvel movies, the world is ending, all this type of stuff. But what's interesting about those movies, those old ones, and what I thought was interesting about Mission Impossible, there's some really long scenes in the same spot. Like Mission Impossible, that whole water scene where he's just underwater doing that, that's like maybe a 10, 15-minute scene, and it's just him underwater. And it's like your anxiety is building so much during it that you just want it to end and you just want it to change. And they don't let it change. It just continues and continues and continues. That you don't see that in TV shows or movies at all really anymore. It's like maximum 3 minutes in this scene, in this area with these people. And unless something crazy happens, like you're getting bored with it, that you want the scene to cut away and change to something else. And I'm noticing that attention span is so short that I was surprised that Mission Impossible did that with a few scenes where it was like, these are really elongated. And it's just like, him underwater. There's nobody coming in. There's no change of scene. They're not jump cutting to different things. Like, it's just this one long scene. And then you take Glengarry Glen Ross. It's like all shot in basically one or two locations.
Two locations, the restaurant and then the office.
An hour and a half movie, it's in two locations. And it's like, we just don't have that attention span anymore. And I think also the appreciation of the making an hour and a half story and drama about one location. And that's it. To where then you go to kids and it's like, it used to be Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers was in the same place, the same thing, the same story world.
His cadence was very slow, very relaxed, low tone, like no crazy colors. Everything was very muted and boring.
Yeah. To where kids don't have that attention span. And I think starting them with stuff like that and helping them be able to deal with that and grow through that, because like you said, their brain is so plastic that it's like, if you're teaching them to just jump cut and have a quick attention span, that's what they're getting shown. They're going to end up having that. And that's, in my opinion, why there's so much ADHD and all these issues with being able to sit there and pay attention, because everything they're doing is 3 seconds cut, 3 seconds cut.
Yeah. Well, and where the anxiety and depression is coming from too, because their brain is getting developed to be that way. And then when we don't have, as an adult, we don't have every single moment we can jump into our phone to distract, or your phone maybe brings up more of your real life problems. It's like, yeah, we don't have those things that we could disassociate like we could as kids, or we don't have these natural coping mechanisms because we were never developed to have those, that we have just go to the screen, or the screen has been training our brain to think very, very fast. Well, when your brain is going like this, you're also going to think about bad things more aggressively and spiral down even more, that you're not allowing that to go back to a calm neutral. Like, kids don't know how to go back to neutral.
No.
Have you ever seen a video of kids from like the 80s talk compared to now, like in an interview? You would think like they're talking like how our adults talk now. Like, their vocabulary is better. They're slow. They're calm. They're not fidgeting while they're talking. It's like, you see a kid talk now.
They can't stop moving.
They can't stop moving. And like, what they're talking about is very, I say a little bit of this and I say a little bit of this and I say a little bit of this. And it's like fast and poppy, just like their shows are. To where that's where I go even back. Like, yeah, so the language skills are down.
Yeah.
The communication skills are down.
Yeah. Patience is, all of those things.
I wonder if I can even
But we continue to create a world that is fast paced and as quick as possible. I mean, you look at like the analytics on podcasts and stuff like that. Average watch time is like 5 to 10 minutes, and then people click off and go to something else. And I would guess that the people that are completing it, probably a lot of them are listening to just audio and have it while they're doing something else. Like, nobody is just sitting and watching it. And I wonder if people at home too, when it's at night and you put your favorite TV show on or movie, how many people are just sitting and watching that? Or are they also on their phone, also doing something else? Like, people aren't just sitting and watching a movie and going, wow, that was great. How old do you think those kids are?
I bet the first one is 10 to 12 age range. I bet they're probably all that age. Yeah, like elementary, late elementary.
Well, and it's really interesting too, because I'd like to see kids like the age of our first class, what they would be like. Because when we start the class, we sit in a circle and do a question of the day, and each kid goes around and answers the question. All of the other kids can't sit still. I just posted a video of them doing their interviews. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's somewhat different because they know that they're on camera, so they are all kind of waiting a little bit patiently.
Even that, you should see their body.
Yeah.
And it's like what they're saying is very...
It's quick.
Well, it's very like...
It's not complete sentences or full...
Yes.
It's not like a paragraph that they're talking. But still, I mean, in the circle, they're sitting and fidgeting and flipping and trying to do all this stuff. Like, you can't even get them to sit still and listen to one another. And they're all talking too while the one kid's talking. Like, there's just very simple, basic things that aren't being taught anymore of like, hey, somebody else is talking. That means you need to be quiet and sit and listen, because you could learn something, or you could, that's also just being a good friend, is knowing about each other and knowing what each other likes. And I mean, how many times do we do the same question of the day? And it's like, I'd like to go and go, okay, we've done this same question of the day. What's your favorite animal? Okay. What's her favorite animal? Have you been paying attention? Have you been listening? Have you been learning about each other at all? I bet none of those kids would be able to know anything about each other.
I mean, and that's why I like to do that even in the older classes, because I think there's a benefit to learning how to speak in front of people.
Yeah.
And to be clear with what you're saying, be efficient with what you're saying. That is one thing with even the older kids. Like, they just blabber on for forever. I'm like, you're not saying anything.
Well, that's a big reason why we're doing the podcast too, is like just learning how to communicate and try to drop the ums, drop the likes, drop the...
Get to your point.
Get to your point, but have a better thought out way of saying the thing, and not just short little things that can be misunderstood or misconstrued, or not have enough context and not have enough stuff that is explained throughout it. It's super difficult, especially when you're used to seeing, you know, we are just naturally learning from other people, like second nature, whether we know it or not. We're consuming that. So then you're taking on mannerisms, or you're taking on, well, they talk this way. It's like all the vlogs sound the same. Everybody's doing the same sort of thing, and they talk with the same cadence, or they talk the same way, to where that's just learned. So now when somebody that really likes vlogs and they're like, I should do a vlog, they start doing it, they're going to do those beats and do what they've seen. And that's just what kids are doing all the time. And I think even adults are doing it too, of you're watching whatever social media and whatever content, and then you start going and talking to somebody else. You're talking like what you see somebody that you admire or you like, and how they talk. And it's tricky and hard now, because everybody says like social media isn't the real world, but it's influencing the real world so much, like crazily so much, by all these things we're talking about, especially the way that we communicate.
Well, and that's what I was kind of thinking when you were saying that, is it's hard as the adult. I mean, granted, we're working on it as adults for our own benefit, but then if we're, again, doing question of the day with the kids, to try to teach those things, you're not only just trying to teach new behaviors, but you're trying to teach these new behaviors that goes against like what they're physically feeling.
Yes.
Like, they can't handle sitting down for 2 minutes and getting through everyone's question. Like, they don't have the physical ability to relax.
I wonder
and
if
to not be thinking of 100 different things.
And that's what's hard, because
granted, that can be still done, but
I think some of it is they're so not active at all throughout the day, because we've noticed that too with kids that are extremely active all day long. They can sit there and listen to one another and not talk while the other person's talking. So I think there's some of it too that's just they literally don't have enough energy out, to where I wonder if to try to get the best of both worlds, or to try to work with them as well, instead of sitting in a circle, if you have them like, I don't know, start in corners and then run out to the middle and answer the question, and then run back. If there's some sort of, they know that they're going to get energy, but then they're going to be in the corners fidgeting and not listening and
and I think that's kind of the tricky part, is like you're wanting them to learn to chill out. Like, you're just going to go through that learning, or that uncomfortable curve. I think like you almost have to discipline them to stop fidgeting, stop moving. Like, there almost needs to be a consequence in order for their brain to just, you have to like rewire them.
And I think that's what I feel bad about, is they're doing that all day long at school.
Sure, but we're only doing that for question of the day. every other part of the class, we're moving. We're getting them active.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes where it's, you've been sitting down all day long, being told what to do, what to write and color and all that kind of stuff. They're so not active. I mean, you were saying like, you heard that they don't even get a recess anymore. They get one recess for 15 minutes and they don't let them outside because it's too hot here.
For a decent chunk of the year, or like into the beginning of the year, since it's still summertime, they have them inside for recess, and their inside recess is just watching videos. Which
is psychotic to me.
To where I'd be curious in other places, what are kids doing now for recess? Because I remember when we grew up, we had 2 recesses. To where I'd be curious if that still happens. I know we for sure did.
And how long do you think those were?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe 15 minutes, but each.
Oh, really?
15 to 20 minutes each.
For some reason, that seems so short to me, but maybe when we were kids, it felt a lot longer. I mean, I'm remembering like we played football, basketball. We played a game of kickball. I'm like, we had to have had like a 45-minute recess. Just for how much it seemed like we did.
I bet it's just your kid attention span. Like that seemed like forever.
Yeah.
But we had 2.
I feel bad because I'm like, they have been chained to a chair all day long, and now they're here to get energy out and to actually do something. And then I'm sitting here like, you got to stop fidgeting and moving during this part. Because I do think you're right. There is a point too where it's like, you're not learning what I'm telling you to do. I mean, we'll be standing there trying to tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do next. This is what it's going to look like. This is how we're going to do the things. And they're just like trying to run around, they're doing cartwheels, they're doing flips. They can't stop moving. So then they're also not listening to what's going on.
Maybe it's like we give them an action that's physically challenging, that their body is still engaged, but it's forcing them to focus on one thing. It's like they can still be moving, but it's still directed movement. Like balance on one leg in a T, or they have to sit in a squat position, or they have to like do a squat and do the knee touches while we're doing the question of the day. For the littles, I have to have them in a circle, because if I have them anywhere else in the room, they're gone.
Yeah, they for sure won't
like they own the space.
Well, and that's where I like too. I mean, we just basically we do question of the day right away, but after that, it's like, okay, we're gonna warm up, and they're literally just like running in a circle, skipping in a circle, side shuffles, doing all
squats,
this,
push-ups.
Yeah, just we're literally just getting energy out so that they can calm down a little bit and then listen. And I think that has worked and helped the class a lot, of just get some energy out within the first 10 minutes of the class, and now their ability to listen seems better.
So I looked up, we're going to pivot?
Yeah.
So I was telling you in the car that I feel like always in this time in my cycle, I just feel disgusting. Like I feel like my energy is bad. Cycle? Yeah, I feel like my energy is bad. I feel like I get irritated super quickly. I just feel gross. Like I feel ugly. So I looked up, is there a reason I feel ugly? I also looked up, I track on an app, and I'm in my luteal phase, I guess. That's what this phase is called, like right before.
Could you imagine you look up, why do I feel ugly? And AI is like, well, you could be ugly. Yeah.
Drop in a picture, I'll decide. I said, is there a reason I feel ugly in the luteal phase? Yes. There are psychological reasons why someone might feel they look or feel ugly during the luteal phase of their menstrual cycle, which is the time between ovulation and menstruation. This phase is often associated with hormonal fluctuations and can lead to mood changes, bloating, acne, all can which negatively affect image. 1. Hormonal changes. In this phase, there's a surge in progesterone, a hormone that plays a crucial role in preparing the blah, 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 for pregnancy. This hormonal shift can lead to a variety of physical and emotional changes, including mood swings, irritability, and increased appetite. I also been saying that I've been hungry. That could also just be other things, but physical symptoms, bloating, water retention due to progesterone levels can contribute to feeling off and less attractive. Additionally, some individuals experience acne breakouts, furthering impacting their self-perception. Hormonal fluctuations, physical symptoms, blah, blah, blah. So,
now
I'm not crazy.
Now I want you to look up.
This is going to be mean, what you're going to say.
Say the same thing, but say just in whatever other phase in the cycle.
What do you...
So just whatever cycle you put a different one.
I'd have to look it up. Cycles.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have follicular phase, ovulation, and luteal. Okay.
So just pick one of those and replace it with luteal. Because we can definitely just search what, kind of confirmation bias.
Yeah.
But I want to see if it is able to go, it doesn't really make sense. Typically that would happen in the luteal phase. Because if it's just like, yeah, this could happen in this phase. And then you do the third one, it's like, yeah, it could also happen in this phase. It's like, well, now we're not really learning anything.
No, this one says no. While it is true that some women experience negative emotions and physical symptoms during ovulation, the idea that you feel ugly is more about perception and cultural influences.
So then why would that not be the same as in the luteal?
Because, okay, so fluctuate.
This is where I'm learning AI is a little bit confirmation bias all the time, because you could just put in, could it be possible that cauliflower is bad for me? And it'll be like, yeah, it could be if blah, 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 blah.
Which is weird because now in one of the articles, it brings up the luteal phase again.
Okay.
As far as the ugly. I'm guessing it's because of which hormones are increasing and decreasing.
Okay.
Because, okay, so at ovulation, women felt more attractive and gazed less at unattractive body parts in contrast to the late luteal phase. This is off of
bunch of sluts in the ovulation
PubMed.
phase.
These studies are so hard to read off of these websites always, or off this website always, but you get the gist.
That's interesting.
The luteal phase, where they felt less attractive and gazed more at unattractive body parts. There was no difference in the gaze of the patterns of the attractive body parts at ovulation. Wait.
I don't understand what the gaze have anything to do with this.
I'm better both times.
Yeah, that's interesting that I was able to distinguish. But that's not... Did you get that article from what AI gave you?
No, it's on PubMed.
Yeah, but when you typed it in, was it AI telling you those things for the luteal phase?
The first thing, yes.
The second thing, was it?
Not what I just read, no.
When you typed it into AI for the second thing, what did it say?
Okay, let me go back.
It said the no, typically that's cultural, whatever.
Yes.
For the ovulation phase.
But then this link was association of menstrual cycle with selective attention for liked and disliked body parts.
What about the third phase?
Okay.
I'm just curious now, but I'm impressed that it was able to distinguish the two. I just think with the AI thing and the confirmation bias of it, you can kind of put in whatever you want, and frequently it will tell you what you want to hear.
Okay. So I should not go to the AI overview.
No, that's what I want you to do.
Okay. So this one says feeling ugly during the follicular phase is linked to hormonal fluctuations, but the shift in water retention. to where you might just look heavier.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting that it's...
So the follicular phase seems to have sees a rise in estrogen, which can influence water retention and potentially lead to bloating or puffiness. To where the other one was a rise in progesterone, which is the hormone shifts, which could lead to the acne and something else.
Well, that's good. That's good that it's distinguishing different reasons for that. I think a lot of it does still come down to the cultural stuff because, I mean, 2 out of the 3 phases is saying that, yeah, you could probably feel ugly.
So 70% of the month, you're going to feel ugly.
Yeah.
A couple days, you're going to maybe feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now let me put in the actual...
Still not talking to the mic.
Phases. Oh, no, those are... Oh, yeah, menstruation. I mean, my guess would be... Yeah, women just feel ugly all the time.
Yeah, I mean...
Same thing. So this one, there are no scientific basis to suggest that menstruation itself makes anyone ugly.
Makes anyone ugly.
It's so funny, like that's how...
So not feels. There, we got to the bottom of it. Your period does not make you ugly. The more you know.
Well, yes and no.
Make you ugly. That's what I said.
During those phases, it could make you more ugly because you could be breaking out more. It could be, you could have puffiness. You could have the water retention, the bloating.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that makes you ugly or not.
It changes your appearance.
I don't think a little bit of bloat is making you ugly. And then when you don't have that bloat, you're just a gorgeous being walking around.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Because the test that they did, the PubMed one, they tracked the women's gaze in a mirror to like where they looked at themselves.
Which that also...
How do you do that?
I mean, you could do that, but what if you always look at those parts because it's you and you don't like those parts about you?
But that's what they're saying is that in the other phase, they weren't looking at those parts. They were only looking at the ones that they liked. Like they were selective if where they looked depending on what phase they were in.
This is interesting. I go in phases with these studies things. There's phases where I'm like, studies are right all the time. And then I'll go in these phases where I'm like, I don't believe any of these damn studies. All of them are...
You got to go based off your own feeling.
And yeah.
That's where it's working together. Because I am feeling that way and I'm like, this is kind of weird. I wonder if other people feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
I'm not crazy.
I can see that. But then you take that to I don't know, a more negative thing going on. Like I said, can cauliflower be bad for me? And then it gives all these things of why it could be bad for you. It would have to be so specific of what is making it bad for you, all that kind of stuff. But I think generally everybody would say that cauliflower is a good food for you. It's a whole natural food. It's a ton of vitamins, minerals, all the stuff. We all generally know. But that's where I don't like the studies show, they do that in the health and fitness world all the time. Studies show high fructose corn syrup does nothing. There's no negative side effects or no negative anything from high fructose corn syrup studies. It's like, okay, but we're seeing a lot of bad stuff going on in our world. And that is a giant thing that is in everything right now, along with added sugar and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm not saying that that's the one thing. I think people get attached to that too much too. But I think we're losing, again, I go in phases with it, but I think we lose a little bit of the common sense stuff because these studies come out and it's like Diet Coke has no negative side effects and it's perfectly fine for you and it's better than regular Coke and all this type of shit. And it's like, Okay, but then how come everybody that I know that drinks Diet Coke is just still overweight? And that's not just because of Diet Coke. For certain is a bunch of other stuff too. But just because there isn't studies that show that it's bad for you doesn't mean that it's bad for you. That's the thing, is science is always a little bit behind of what's actually going on. And, the seed oil things is a huge debate too, where are seed oils good or bad for you? Well, there's no study showing it's bad. So that just means that they're not bad? Like, what are we talking about?
That's what Lane Norton, he just put out a study where he tested his own markers with seed oils and how they like actually got better and whatever. But even if the health benefits are there, people are going to be people. And we have to understand their behaviors. That I was listening to Stephen Cabral talk about food sensitivities, and I have an interesting thing on that. But he was saying that cheese and gluten have the same, not the same, but like a version of the same addictiveness that like heroin does to our brains.
Oh my God.
That there's a amino acid in both of those that they're like addictive to us, to where, because the person they were talking to Justin, because he was trying to get off of dairy, get off of cheese.
Yeah.
And how for like a week he was going off of it and his mood was terrible. And they were talking about like, just start eating dairy again because like this is crazy. And they were talking about like it was basically like him going through withdrawals.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, why?
So it's like if cheese and gluten have that effect, and we know sugar, kind of same thing, like if these things have that addictive mechanism on our brain, sure, maybe that exact item could be okay, but what does that spiral into? Does you eating a piece of, from home sourdough bread, does that make me want to eat noodles? Does that make me want to eat popcorn more? Does that make me want to get donuts then? And that makes me want to have pancakes for breakfast? Like, what is the domino effect of having those things that we're not calculating in? People just can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, sure, the studies say that it could be fine, but what's your trickle effect of that?
Right. When you isolate one object, one thing, sure, you can do all the studies and show that it doesn't negatively impact you. And the same thing with Lane Norton, him having more seed oils or whatever made whatever better. He's also a doctor and is a professional power lifter and all these, like, this is somebody that is extremely dialed into their exercise, their nutrition, probably their sleep, all that sort of stuff, that he can take that one marker, increase it, and see positive effects. Most other people, they could have this situation that you're talking about where, well, they say Diet Coke's not bad for you, so I'll start having Diet Cokes because I like to have something. Now they start having Diet Cokes, that makes them go get sweet tarts and eat more candy, and then they're consuming more gluten, or not gluten, but consuming more processed foods, and now they're increasing weight, but they know that Diet Coke's not the problem. So then they're like, well, I don't understand why this is so difficult, or what change? I'm just having Diet Coke. Well, you actually increased all these other things that are contributing to you being overweight. It's like, we wouldn't argue that heroin is bad for you, but we're arguing whether or not Diet Coke is, or all of these other addictive foods are, because of the trickle-down effect that ends up happening. It's like,
because it's less obvious, but the studies don't have individual variants. Like, even that, you take the Lane Norton study. Now put a female in that. And I know you don't usually like to do like male, female are different, but we just learned about different cycles and what that could maybe adjust. It's like, okay, so if I'm in this phase right now, and maybe that is a part of the reason why my appetite has gone up. Well, what are my behaviors when I get hungry?
Right.
Do I go to carbs because I know that's going to fill me up? And now I'm extremely over on what carb intake I should have every day because my hormones are adjusting how I'm feeling, but my behavior isn't locked into that. So I'm just going, well, I'm more hungry, I'm going to start doing this. Or I'm more irritable and I'm agitated, so I maybe go to my vices a little bit quicker. because I'm like, I feel shitty. I want to feel good. So maybe I'm going to have more caffeine that day. Or maybe I'm going to have alcohol that night because I want to feel something happy and not feel ugly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's my behavior based off of what's happening inside my body. He might be totally fine with seed oils. Maybe to a female where hormones and fats really are affected and fluctuate quickly, those seed oils are going to push her over the edge because of the disruption of hormones or the hormone disrupting effects that it has.
I think you're spot on. I mean, it's totally individual variance, and then it's the behaviors. That's why we talk about the behaviors all the time, because one person over here can do their one cheat day a week and that's all they need, and they get back on their diet and they're eating perfect and doing all the great things, and they stay healthy, they stay looking good, feeling good, everything's great. And then you take another person who has a cheat day a week and they end up trickling into this cheat days now every day, or a cheat meal every day. It's the behaviors. It always comes down to the behaviors. And these things that we are against a lot of the times, even though there isn't all this scientific backing that they're bad, they just seem like gateways for you to then pick bad things. It's like the Diet Coke. You end up having the Diet Cokes, and then that makes you pick more processed foods. You have a bunch more of this and a bunch more of that. Calories go way up. You're gaining weight. You're now overweight, and you can't figure it out. But you know, and you've heard from doctors and professionals and experts that, well, Diet Coke's not bad for me, so it's not that. But you're not understanding that that is your gateway to then end up eating all this other stuff. It makes you want to consume more food, more calories, more sugary, carby, whatever it is. And it's not that the carbs are the enemy. It's you consuming more food than you should be, and now you're gaining weight.
So I was listening to the podcast about food sensitivities, and they were saying easy signs that you can see from your kids if maybe they have a sensitivity. This is not like confirmed. If this is what's happening, they have a food sensitivity, but just like maybe start to eliminate certain things, is mood changes. So like behavior issues. This one I thought was interesting. Excessive like running, like chronic runny nose and stuffy nose, and earaches. Because the ear and the nose, because of how like small their nasal cavities are, because like the food sensitivities is really closely connected to your immune system. So it's basically like their immune system is shot a lot of times, which causes both of those. So if your kid has nose problems a lot, that they could have a food sensitivity. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Something that you would just think like, oh, the kid has a runny nose constantly, or they're always stuffy, or they talk weird, or whatever.
I'm curious to see. I didn't have our ceiling fan on. We usually have the ceiling fan on going to bed, and while we're sleeping. And I didn't last night because I just continue to have like a low pressure in my head or headache type of thing all day long. I haven't had it today since we turned the ceiling fan off. And I feel like this is something that I figured out, a few months or whatever ago. And then we switched up our bedroom to where it didn't feel like I was getting too hot. So I turned the ceiling fan back on to where I didn't have it on before. But then I turned the ceiling fan on and I'm feeling colder. I'm not getting super warm.
But you're getting stuffy with the headache. But
then it's not even so much stuffy as much as just like, I just have this headache and pressure and whatever. And then didn't turn it on last night. And I had to end up putting the thermostat lower. I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I'm way too warm, but I don't want to turn the fan on. So I just put the thermostat lower. I'm curious to see multiple days in a row and for how long, if that continues, of me not having that. To where, how ridiculous would that be? Is I'm getting headaches because of the fan being on all night long. And I just don't know what that would be or what that is. Maybe it's just that air blowing on you all night long, and whatever dust, no matter how clean you are.
That's what I'm guessing it is. Like, we're not cleaning that daily, obviously.
Yeah.
So then it's collecting dust daily, and then you're just like sprinkling it on you at night.
Yeah, I mean, it's
low grade dust and mold
to me. Yeah, so I'm curious to see what happens with that, because I mean, what a stupid thing. And I know so many people that sleep with fans on, that if that's an issue that anybody else is having, it's like it could be just the fan and just that constant air being blown on you, whether it is the dust, whether it's just, I mean, think about like sleeping outside and just air being blown on you all night long. That I would think that could do something negative to you, especially if it's colder air. I mean, you go outside and it's cold and a cold breeze, like you're uncomfortable. Your nose starts to run and all that kind of stuff.
Mine is really stuffy.
You
right now.
dry out, all that kind of stuff. I mean, even just having air blown on you all the time, you're gonna dry out.
Mine isn't stuffy like it's clogged. It just feels like I can't breathe very well. Like it feels like I have a small, like my.
Yeah, it's almost like inflamed.
Kinda.
You could just have like a, I don't know, inflammation. So then your airways are a little bit closed up.
That's one thing with the food sensitivity thing, because he was saying that if you didn't want to pay for a test, you could cut out the 3 things to cut out that are most people's problems: gluten, dairy, and eggs.
Oh, eggs is interesting.
Eggs would be so hard for me to cut out. What would we eat in the morning?
Yeah, you could find something. Food,
Eggs are just so cheap.
I don't know if it was just what my dad said stuck in my head of like food is fuel. That food has never really been an issue to me. I enjoy getting fun treats and all that kind of stuff, but if you told me that you had to cut out something, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess in relative circumstances or whatever, if you told me to cut out meat, I'd be like, well, no, I'm not gonna do that, because I'm gonna have way more negative side effect or negative health effects from doing that. But if you told me I could have a sensitivity to eggs and I shouldn't be eating eggs every day, I don't think I'd have that big of an issue with it. I would just switch it with something else.
And he was saying to cut it out for, I think he said like 20 something days, but I would just say like a month, like do a month. Cut it out for a month, see if you feel better. That will be kind of your sign of if that was a problem. But do it like one at a time. Or he said,
I would say one at a time, because then you can actually get an accurate thing of what's going on. It's a longer experiment. I mean, if you're just going to cut out gluten and see what happens, and then you're going to cut out dairy,
that would be so much harder for me to cut out. Gluten would be the hardest thing to cut out.
You hardly have any gluten now. You think everything is gluten, but it's not. Like, the only thing that you eat that has gluten is the sourdough. That's the only thing you eat with gluten in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, interesting. So it's eggs.
It might be eggs, because we don't have dairy. I mean, we don't have...
Well, we have dairy.
I mean, we have dairy, but I think the dairy... Are they talking about any type of dairy?
I mean, milk and cream.
No, I know, but like... Is the dairy intolerance... Are they talking about raw milk? Or are they talking about...
Oh, I'm sure. You know, I don't have enough, like...
It would be the dairy, it would be the milk, which even if you cut that out, we have the whey protein. So that would be cut out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
rather cut out eggs first.
I saw a video of somebody saying, like, we're the only mammal that drinks milk past, certain
Babies.
age or whatever, and we're the only mammal that drinks other mammals' milk as well. And they were using that as as a point to, we shouldn't be drinking it. That just doesn't... My common sense thing just goes like, this is dumb.
That they're bringing that up, or it's dumb that we do it?
That they're bringing that up, or that's their point of why we should not be drinking milk. And I want to at some point go through like all of the foods to figure out what also is the only thing that we eat. I mean, we're the only animal that eats processed food, but that's completely fine for everybody apparently. It just is weird to me that
seems more of a reason, like they don't do it because their body stops producing it. Like it's like, yeah, if we were only drinking from when a woman is breastfeeding, yeah, you would have to stop. You can't just keep producing milk. It's like we have access through our brain and our technology to be able to get that milk. Animals don't have the technology to get other milk. The mom dries up and that's where they're at. Yeah. They can't get it from other animals because also how many other animals are like cohabitating?
Well, yeah. I mean, is a cow going to let a bird come up to it? And
you have to get it during the time when they produce milk.
Right. It just seems like a weird reason to claim like we shouldn't be drinking milk, because the other thing they said was like our body doesn't break down lactose or something like that, to where in raw milk there's
enzymes to give you the
enzymes to help you break that down. So, and that's, again, we already did a podcast about that, of why you should be drinking raw milk and not pasteurized, homogenized milk. So there's also that distinction. Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't be drinking the pasteurized, homogenized milk or any dairy, cheese or whatever. But that's the other thing. I'm like, so should we, this person, I want to ask them, should we not be eating cheese then? Should we not be eating butter? Should we not be eating yogurt, cottage cheese?
I mean, in my opinion, no, but that's not the reason
why.
Well,
but according to this person, like, we shouldn't be having the milk because of the lactase or
then,
whatever.
Then we shouldn't have any of those.
So, yeah, then we shouldn't be having any of those. But then does this person agree with that?
Because someone that's lactose intolerant is intolerant to all of those things that you just listed. So I would say yes. If they're thinking we shouldn't have those things because of the fact that we can't break it down, those properties are prevalent in all of those items.
And that's what I would want to ask them. So do you agree that we shouldn't be having any of those things then? And see what they would say.
I mean, this person's a crazy person too.
You don't even know who it is.
Well, I know by what they're saying. They're crazy.
I don't even know who it is. It was a stupid video that popped up, and I'm like, this is a weird.
Maybe we don't know the context, the full context.
Well, that's true, but it's also just, this is a weird thing to, like, plant your flag on.
Associate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I mean, animals don't have Starburst, but we do. So you're saying we shouldn't eat Starburst? Like, we can go down a fucking laundry list of things that we eat that other mammals don't eat.
Maybe, I wonder if they're just seeing the issue with processed dairy and they're like, something's weird here. And then they're just making that connection on their, they're trying to make a connection to prove that we shouldn't be drinking processed milk.
Yeah.
And that's their way of like, well, they're not doing this, and so then why are we doing that? Like, that's weird. Versus just like, it's bad for the other reasons. Like, it's bad, but not for the reasons you're bringing up, potentially.
And to be fair, we probably do this shit all the time. I mean, throughout this podcast, we've probably done it 15 times of like making this sort of correlation or connection that makes sense in our head, but other people listening are going to be like, what the hell are they talking about? And they can nitpick it away.
Yeah.
So it's me nitpicking and me being, having my own bias or my own views on stuff because of the things that I feel like I know. It's the same for this person, but it was just interesting to me that I was like, I don't agree with that. And I think that's a weird thing to connect your thing to. That's what I get annoyed with all these doctors, the people that, well, this study says this and that study says that. I'm in the phase where I'm like, the studies are fucking dumb. And you're just taking one single thing and extrapolating that single thing and showing that there's no negative health effects from it. It's like, okay, but like what we talked about, what are the behaviors that end up happening because of all that stuff? I don't get cravings because I don't eat a bunch of processed food.
Well, and honestly, that kind of goes back to my hypothesis of the screen time with kids. It's like, regardless of whether the studies are correct with them affecting the actual development of their brain, the behaviors around it are like, you can't hide it obvious.
Yeah.
Like, try to pull a screen away from a kid and watch how psychotic they get. And then watch them, put them in a room together with no phones and see how a teenager acts. They're weird beyond belief because they've never done it before.
Right.
Like, they've always had, and I would say I'm the same way too. Like, it's an easy way to distract from how uncomfortable you can be in a social setting. But also when they're choosing, like, this is your friend. Like, you don't have uncomfortability with this person. and you're both in the same room, or you're all in the same room, just on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's again, like the trickle down of the behavior. Because you are doing this, or because you're at a young age and you're affected by it, this is how you're responding to it. Or you're lazy the rest of the day. Or you have a weird ADHD crazy brain going on that playing with regular things doesn't interest you anymore.
Yeah.
So now the skills that you could have been getting as a younger kid with playing with Legos, and the fine motor skills that you're developing with that, or coloring, and the creativity that you're developing. And again, fine motor skills, you're not getting that because that's less fun to you than just
well, and all these
phones.
All these games and all these things are anti-creativity. I mean, the games are, I don't know how they say it or how do you describe it, but like they're just you do this and then this happens and then this, like, it's guided for you.
Sure.
So you just follow the prompts basically, rather than playing with Legos, coloring, all that kind of stuff where you have to be the creative one.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the things together and do the things. It's all of that stuff is stunting that.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so then how does that affect our adults?
I'm sure every generation
That's
feels...
why movies suck. That's why TV shows suck.
Yeah. I'm sure every generation feels like, oh, I'm glad that I grew up when I did, but I'm definitely glad that I grew up when I did, because I don't feel like we have those issues, and I wouldn't want those issues.
No, we didn't have the screen
like I remember
stuff.
hanging out with friends.
Stuff, yes.
Going hang out with friends, like, yeah, we'd play video games, but we were playing together, and it was extremely social and
sure,
like bonding in a way. Like we were playing it together or doing them together, to where it seems more now like it is. It's like kids are in their own part of the room, on their own phone, on their own thing, barely talking to each other, barely whatever. And we also wouldn't play video games only. We'd go outside, play basketball. We'd go in the neighborhood.
Because your brain was wired
stuff
in the opposite way, where like that would make you fidgety after a while. Like, I got to move and do something.
Yeah, I would get annoyed or bored with it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to continue to play the video games. But.
Done?
There it is. Like and subscribe. Look out for our shorts and like those. And
follow us on Instagram.
Those.
Follow us on TikTok. All the things.
All the things.
See you later. Ooh, that was good.